Hello folks, you're out traveling with Edward today on the 11th of March 2024 here on Angling Road along US 131 at Center Street. We're here in the state land. This is all a large area that's been preserved for hunting. There's no more target shooting here or dumping. That used to be something back here. This is all a public hunting area. No motor vehicles. It's just archery and shotguns only. Rimfire, centerfire, muzzle loading, or breech loading rifles and handguns are prohibited. Now, back in the day, this right here was about as far as what you could pull in. And where I'm standing right here was a big berm of dirt that went along kind of like that with rubble in it. See all the rebar sticking out there? And they would dump out here. Back in here was the target range. You'd walk up over the little berm and go back in here and set up your targets straight ahead out here. And you'd shoot rifles, shotguns, handguns, and so forth. There's a lot of lead in them trees out there, I can tell you that. We're not going to talk about that today, other than it's a beautiful place. You got to watch it during hunting season, of course. Hunters out here, but during the summer, there's trails and everything to walk. But this is also not only a place to go hunting, but it was the final stop of a gentleman that I knew, his family and so forth. He was an older gentleman. Talk about him here a second. He went up north with a group fishing in Canada, and this is many years ago, and I'm not going to mention his name just to respect to the family and so forth, but there's very few of them left. But he went up fishing, and it was raining really bad, and the whole fishing camp flooded. And the only way for these guys to get out was to walk in knee to waist deep water for days to get out of there where they were in Canada. And he made it, the group made it. It was really hard, really, really tough. And it affected him for the rest of his life. Instantly, he couldn't talk. He couldn't hold his job. His wife and supported him, their children, they were working there. By that time they were adults, and they took care of him for years. And one day his wife looked out in the backyard, and he was out there doing the yard work, and like everything was completely okay again. And she couldn't believe it. And she made phone calls, called the family and let them know it's back to normal. He's better. And he started riding a bicycle up and down Angling Road. They lived on Angling Road, not 2 miles from where I am right here. And nice place, nice neighborhood. And he had a basket, a couple baskets, I guess, on his bicycle. And he would stop and pick up trash and pop bottles and things alongside the road. Now, before I go on with the story here, I noticed back here in the woods, this has all been logged out. You can see now with the leaves off the trees, it's springtime here. That's really something. That used to be a forested hill back there. Maybe they're getting ready to sell some of this one day back here and develop it. It's very valuable. But that being said, this gentleman would pick up trash and bottles on the side of the road and come home happy, talking, back into the swing of things, just like it was before he left. Everybody was so glad. Well, one day he came out riding his bike, and he didn't come back home. And So they started looking for him, and somebody rode back here where I came in and parked and took a walk back here, and they seen his bicycle, and they came back here, and I know where it's at, and I'm not going to take you to it. We're not that far from it. We're very, very close right now. But the gentleman hung himself from one of these trees, and he was found, and of course authorities called, and they just couldn't figure it out. And to this day, it's a mystery of mental illness. Why in the heck everything would go back to normal, he'd pop out of that the way that he did, everything's fine, and then come out here and do something like that. I talked to his wife about it many years ago. She told me the whole story about the whole thing, and I haven't left much out other than the exact spot. She is gone now too. They're both now together. But it's a very, very sad case, and of a mental illness brought on by a good fella. He was a sportsman, as in a fisherman. He'd do a little hunting, but not much. But that experience, that survival experience that he had up in Canada, almost killed all those guys like that, and they made it out of there. That PTSD and those effects of that manifested in that gentleman, and look what it did with him and his family. And then the beautiful bright light at the end, thinking that, man, he's back, and then out of nowhere, a tragedy. That doggone PTSD and the things that bring that on, the situations you never know. You never know what it's going to be. You could have a guy that's the strongest guy in the world, airborne rangers, special forces, and smiling all the way every day. And all of a sudden, a balloon pops. Here's that pop. And it can flip that person out. And that could be the end of it right there. And nobody could ever figure out why in the world, after everything, just that sound, or just a smell, or just a color even. Sometimes a song is all it takes to turn one's mind in directions that you and I wouldn't believe it could go. Brought on by that damnable PTSD. And with that being said, God bless you all, especially the veterans and those that serve this nation, and responders, and those that are victims of violence in this country that have PTSD and other effects. Please don't drive out into the middle of the country in your bicycle, other vehicles, and do something like this gentleman did. Keep it on the street and keep a smile on your face, picking up those empty bottles and trash, or going to work and working in your yard or so forth. Hold your grandkids and your kids. Try to do something, find some help. But this was not the answer. But every time I drive by here, I look back here and think, good Lord Almighty, the good times that we had back here, and a horrible ending to the whole thing. This will probably be my last trip back here for a while. I only live about 10 miles away, but today I was just thinking about this and thought I'd stop, make a little video. That being said, hope you all enjoy my videos. This is a little more of a serious account here today, but have a great day.